Indian economic updates. India is pressing ahead with a sweeping expansion of its defense capabilities, with major procurement programs advancing across the Air Force, Navy and indigenous aircraft manufacturing. The initiatives, ranging from French-built Rafale fighters to US-supplied Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft and the scaling up of the Tejas Mark I fleet, reflect both India's immediate operational priorities and its broader push towards self-reliance in defense production across the Indo-Pacific. The Indian Air Force is moving rapidly on a proposal to acquire 114 Rafale multirole fighters in what would be among the largest defense contracts in the country's history. Dassault Aviation is expected to work with Indian firms to establish a local assembly line, ensuring that up to 60% of the aircraft's components are manufactured domestically. The deal, valued at more than 2 lakh rupees crore, will see at least 18 aircraft delivered directly from France in the initial phase, while the rest are assembled in India. If approved, the acquisition will take India's Rafale fleet to nearly 176 aircraft across both the Air Force and Navy, cementing the type's role as a backbone of India's combat aviation. At the same time, the Indian Navy is in advanced negotiations with the United States for 6 additional P-8I Poseidon long-range maritime patrol aircraft, in a deal estimated at $4 billion. These platforms, which can carry torpedoes, depth charges and anti-ship missiles, are a critical element in anti-submarine warfare and surveillance across the Indian Ocean. With 12 P-8Is already operational, the induction of 6 more will significantly expand the Navy's reach and resilience. A US defense delegation, including Boeing representatives, is currently in New Delhi to finalize technical and commercial terms. On the indigenous front, the Tejas Mark I program is gathering momentum. The government has cleared an order for 97 additional Tejas Mark I fighters, worth approximately 67,000 crore rupees, to be built by Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. To power these jets, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited is close to sealing a contract with General Electric Aerospace for 113 more F404 and 20 engines, deliveries of which have already begun. With the third engine recently received, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited is preparing to hand over the first 2 Mk-1A aircraft to the Indian Air Force by October 2025. This expansion will ultimately take the planned Tejas Mk-1A fleet to around 180 aircraft. Together, these acquisitions mark a decisive phase in India's defense build-up, aimed at bridging capability gaps in air dominance, long-range surveillance and anti-submarine warfare. While challenges such as technology transfer, delivery schedules and cost escalations remain, the timely execution of these projects could reshape India's aerial and maritime strength over the next 5 years, sending a strong signal of deterrence and readiness in an increasingly contested regional environment. Drawing from Japan's urban planning and governance practices, India has formalized a national spatial policy intended to guide the country's urban expansion over the next 2 decades. The policy targets development of new cities, rejuvenation of older ones, and coordination between state and city planning to enhance economic growth and livability. According to the National Spatial Policy, urban population in India could rise from roughly 30% to about 52 to 53% in 20 years. This shift demands proactive intervention to avoid unplanned growth patterns. The government considers such haphazard expansion a serious challenge and aims to establish a structured framework to manage this transition. 3-tier governance framework. The National Spatial Policy lays out a 3-level governance structure to streamline urban planning and coordination. At the apex will be a National Spatial Coordination Council, comprising central institutions such as the Prime Minister's Office, Niti Aayog, and key ministries to provide overarching direction. At the state level, state spatial strategy groups will be responsible for aligning local priorities with national objectives. Complementing these are nearly 50 regional planning blocks, each anchored in million-plus urban regions and overseen by dedicated regional planning bodies, ensuring that growth strategies are tailored to regional contexts while remaining consistent with national goals. it mandates 20-year vision documents at multiple levels, defining corridor maps, climate risk principles, investment priorities, growth drivers, and infrastructure plans. Natural resource, environment, and climate action planning will be integral, alongside mandatory city plans. Priority on transit and land use. Land use and transport are core priorities. States are urged to adopt transit-first, rail-led growth models, public transport corridors, metro, regional rapid transit system, and railways as spine systems, while highways are to be primarily for freight and logistics. The policy also incorporates the Japanese concept of kukku-seri, reallocating and consolidating land among owners in fringe areas of cities, reserving some for public amenities. Though some landowners may give up parts of land, the overall value tends to increase owing to improved infrastructure and land appreciation. This tool aims to prevent the spread of urban slums and enable planned expansion. Future implications and policy trajectory. Going forward, implementation will require building institutional capacity at regional levels, raising technical and planning expertise among city governments, and strengthening land records and GIS geospatial capacities. Leveraging geospatial technologies like digital elevation models, mapping, and data integration will likely feature as key enablers. In addition, financing and investment mechanisms, public, private, and hybrid, will have to be tailored to deliver legacy infrastructure upgrades, water, sanitation, power, transport, and to ensure resilience against climate risks. Monitoring and enforcement frameworks will be essential to ensure compliance, especially where land reallocation and transport corridor regulation are concerned. With this national spatial policy, India seeks not just to accommodate its rapidly growing urban population, but to fundamentally reframe how cities grow, pursuing sustainability, livability, and planned expansion rather than reactive development. Rafale Advanced Defense Systems and Israel's Ministry of Defense have announced the completion of the Iron Beam 450 high-energy laser weapon, marking a milestone in Israel's air defense capabilities as the system, featuring a 100-kilowatt laser source developed by Elbit Systems under the oversight of the Directorate of Defense Research and Development in cooperation with the Israeli Air Force, has successfully passed final operational tests and is now ready for deployment with the Israel Defense. In recent trials at a dedicated facility in southern Israel, Iron Beam demonstrated its ability to intercept a wide range of aerial threats including rockets, mortars, unmanned aerial vehicles, and even aircraft, with officials describing the exercises as validating a complete operational configuration and paving the way for its full-scale integration into national defense. According to the Ministry of Defense, the system will be gradually incorporated into Israel's multi-layered air defense network by late 2025, working alongside existing missile-based platforms to provide a new and cost-effective layer of protection against mass or low-cost threats. Unlike traditional interceptor missiles that cost tens of thousands of dollars per launch, Iron Beam operates on electricity alone, delivering a dramatic economic advantage, particularly in scenarios involving swarms of drones or prolonged rocket fire where sustainability and affordability are critical. Positioned within Israel's established defense architecture, Iron Beam will complement Iron Dome for short-range rockets, David's Sling for medium-range threats, and the Arrow system for long-range ballistic missiles, with military officials stressing that the new system is designed to supplement, not replace, these proven defensive tiers. With Iron Beam 450 entering service, Israel becomes the first nation to field a fully developed high-power laser weapon within an operational defense framework, a breakthrough that analysts suggest could reshape the global defense cost equation and establish a precedent for the future adoption of directed energy weapons worldwide. At the 15th India and Japan Annual Summit, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Japanese counterpart Shigeru Ishiba unveiled a comprehensive vision plan, sanctioning 12 key agreements aimed at turbocharging bilateral partnership across defense, innovation, supply chains, and human resource development. A flagship pledge saw Japan commit approximately $68 billion in private sector investment into India over the next decade. The joint vision for the next decade lays out strategic collaboration across 8 domains: economic security, mobility, ecological sustainability, health, innovation, people-to-people linkages, economic partnership, and state-prefecture engagements. Key highlights include a joint declaration on security cooperation, enhancing defense industry collaboration, joint exercises, and maritime security under the existing Special Strategic and Global Partnership. An action plan targeting 500,000 people, workers, students, researchers, to be exchanged between the two nations over 5 years, with 50,000 skilled Indian professionals projected to contribute in Japan. The launch of an economic security initiative focusing on semiconductors, AI, clean energy, critical minerals, and pharmaceuticals, bolstering resilient supply chains in strategic sectors. A memorandum of cooperation on critical minerals and rare earth elements designed to diversify supply chains and enhance resource resilience. In a symbolic demonstration, the summit was capped by a joint ride aboard the Shinkansen bullet train from Tokyo to Sendai, underscoring cooperation in high-speed rail and semiconductor technology. India is preparing to deploy next-generation E10 Shinkansen trains with earthquake-proof technology along its premier Mumbai-Ahmedabad high-speed corridor, rooting them in Japanese tech expertise. Further deepening cooperation, India and Japan agreed on the Chandrayaan-5 lunar mission, LUPEX, in which Indian Space Research Organisation and Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency will jointly explore the Moon's south pole, seeking to probe water ice deposits. PM Modi emphasized, Japanese technology and Indian talent are a winning combination, urging Japanese companies to make in India, make for the world. He hailed India's political and economic stability and its emergence as the fastest growing major economy that is soon to become the world's third largest. The leaders reiterated their shared commitment to a free, open, peaceful, prosperous, and rules-based Indo-Pacific. They also reaffirmed their alignment within the Quad framework, addressing challenges around terrorism, cyber security, and regional stability. This vision plan marks a new chapter in India-Japan relations, anchored in strategic, technological, and institutional synergies that span across territorial and functional frontiers.